Hello, this is Levi Wampler with MMAstrikingcoach.com. Today we're speaking with Brian Peters, co-owner of Tampa Bay Krav Maga, a graduate level 3 in Krav Maga, third-degree black belt in Taekwondo. To learn more about him, you can go to his website, seriousaboutsurvival.com. How you doing today, Brian?
Very good. How about yourself?
Doing real good, real good. So to start off, could you let us know how you got started in the martial arts?
Well, I got started in martial arts around the age of 14, 15 as a result of being bullied in middle school and then in my first year of high school. And finally persuaded my mom to enroll me in the local Taekwondo school with the idea that, if I could just learn how to fight, I could, defend myself and kind of get revenge, if you will, against these bullies.
Right.
But what I found was that I fell in love with the art and never really had a chance to defend myself because the bullies at the time began to leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was a result of the confidence that was built in me during the time, and I think I walked and talked and carried myself different, and as a result, they kind of just moved on to somebody else.
That's a pretty common story I keep hearing from people, that bullying early in life kind of led to their martial arts.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Everybody seems to say the same thing, too, that, once they got the confidence from the arts, they weren't really bullied anymore.
No, it's exciting. In fact, years later, after high school, one of the bullies ended up enrolling in the Taekwondo program I was in, and at the time I was a black belt, and he saw me, and we began to talk a little bit, and for the first time when he got his yellow belt, he was able to spar our instructor, unbeknownst to him as far as our history, paired us up together to fight. And I remember looking down at him, and he was looking at me. He goes, Brian, he goes, all those years, we were just kids. It was stupid. It was foolish. I apologize. And I said, you know what? I forgive you, but I will take one shot. And I remember I caught him with a kick in the gut, and I bent him over, and we were best friends ever since.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Now, I know Krav Maga can be pretty tough training. What do you think is one of the best ways to practice for martial arts?
You have to practice for realism. One thing, and I enjoy doing traditional arts, and I love the Taekwondo, but looking back at the training we did as far as for self-protection, it wasn't realistic. In other words, having gone through Krav training with Yanilov, we learned that when the body's placed in a stressful situation, it reacts differently. And so in Taekwondo or other traditional arts I've trained in, we would practice maybe like a choke or a headlock, but it was never really applied strongly with force with the intent of applying pain and really to scare the person. And so it really kind of gives the practitioner a false sense of security. And you kind of wonder if in real life, in that stressful scenario, would you really be able to respond effectively having been placed in a situation? It's no different than a police officer going against a criminal, trying to handcuff them or going through a building search. If you don't train for the situation, you're not going to react the right way that you should. And so you have to put some realism in the training. You have to, take your lumps and your bruises, and then walk away with the idea that, now that I've been put in a situation, I know that if I was ever attacked, I can survive.
No, that's great. It's great advice. Can you tell us kind of the difference, or talk about the difference between, say, a street fighting situation, self-defense situation, and a ring fighting?
Well, it goes back to, the saying we had in the fire academy. I also work as a firefighter paramedic, and one of our instructors in the fire academy had this quote that, practice the way you're going to play, because you will play the way you practice. Mm-hmm. And so when you practice for a ring fight or a cage fight or a tournament, you're taking tools out that you could use in realism, in a realistic fight, such as kicking a choke to stay on the ground. And using legal tactics is very tough to get out of.
Right.
Using illegal tactics, it might be a little easier to get out. Still tough, but you take away those tools that in a real fight you would use. So transitioning from a rules situation to a no rules situation may be difficult. I think at the level of some of these UFC fighters, they're so good and so fast anyway that they'll just demolish whoever they come across, following the rules. But someone with less experience may need to adapt and apply a no-rule strategy to their self-defense.
All right, no, that's great. Like you said, you play like you practice, and if you always play to practice by the rules, you're not going to think to eye gouge in a pressure situation.
Exactly. And traditional arts, I've taught Krav Maga now in several different states at traditional schools and the schools that play for sports, so they pull their punches. And when you do a Krav Maga, we wear the pads, or you hold the pads, or you put the boxing gloves on, and we tell them, I want you to hit these pads as hard as you can, as fast as you can, as many times as you can. And you can see the mentality is still of the pull a punch, pull the kick. Don't kick as hard. Don't punch as hard. So you wonder if in a real life situation are these students who are good students, they have good technique, but they're used to pulling. They don't want to hurt the other guy because it's a sport. And so you have to transition from a sport aspect to, this guy across from me wants to hurt me. He's got a knife. He wants to stab me. He's got, bad intentions. I have to debilitate my opponent. I have to hit him as fast as I can, as hard as I can, so I can survive. And, it goes back to, how you train.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great. That's great. So what do you think a good lesson from, say, the Krav Maga experience that you have would be for ring fighters? Is there a training method or a technique or something that you think would be useful?
It's a exhaustion. I've seen a few of the video footage of MMA fighters, how they train, and I like their style of training. I think it's effective and very good. I think some of the differences maybe in Krav Maga is you try to overwhelm the practitioner or the student. In other words, you may have 3 or 4 guys attacking at once, or maybe do some stacked situations where you get a fresh guy every 30 seconds, which is a common technique used also in MMA fights. So I think the training as far as building drills and exercises and improving endurance and stamina, I think that kind of the same across the board. I think all the arts have cross-trained and taken the good stuff from each discipline. Until they allow some joint locks or small finger manipulations or groin kicks, Krav Maga doesn't belong in the ring.
Right.
Which is funny because I've had a couple of people say, well, a MMA fighter could easily beat up a Krav Maga guy. I said, well, I don't think so because you've seen Krav Maga in the ring. And they look at me kind of funny, like, what do you mean you've seen Krav Maga in the ring? I says, hey, people get kicked in the groin all the time, and guess what happens? They drop. I don't care how big or strong or good the other guy is. Even with a cup on, one strong kick to the groin, and then you need 5 minutes to rest. So now you follow up with a couple more techniques, the fight's over. So you do see a little bit of Krav Maga in the ring as far as illegal groin kicks or accidental groin kicks.
Oh, yeah, no, anytime somebody's trying to go for an inside leg shin kick, and they slip and hit him in the groin or a knee to the stomach and it hits the groin, you see the guy double over and take a minute to catch his breath.
Yes. It happens all the time. And, The Simpsons had an episode that said it best, no groin, no Krav Maga. And, it's about the groin. It's about doing the most amount of damage. And, all the guys know out there that, a good swift kick in the cojones and, lights out.
Oh, yeah. I think we all learned that in 3rd grade. Kick
Yes.
the groin.
Yes.
So, Could you tell us some of your favorite, training materials or resources, or maybe your favorite piece of workout equipment? What would you recommend as one thing everybody needs to know about or use?
Well, when studying Krav Maga, there's a great resource out there that Eyal, who is the founder of Krav Maga Global, that he's developed for students of Krav Maga. He has a similar resource for instructors as well. It's called maxkravmaga.com. And he has a lot of video footage on there of him teaching the technique. There's a lot of Krav Maga, schools popping up around the world, and some are good, some not so good. Some pretend to be Krav Maga, but truly are not. So if you ever have a question as far as the technique, is this Krav Maga? Max Krav Maga is a great resource. As far as training material or equipment, just a good old-fashioned punching bag and some kicking shields, focus mitts and boxing gloves, and just work on striking and just developing the footwork, the speed, the timing of your punches and kicks, and that's what it comes down to is just being a little better, a little faster, a little smarter than the other guy.
Right on. That's good. Could you share the advice that your mentors have given you about anything life, martial arts? What do you think is the best piece of advice everybody needs to know?
Just be safe. Emi is the founder of Krav Maga in Israel in the 1940s, and his famous quote that transcended the years and generations was that, "So one day walk in peace." And when you study martial arts, like when I was that 15-year-old kid with the idea of learning martial arts so I could learn how to, fight and beat somebody else up, I didn't get what the lesson of martial arts was at the time. Eventually I did. And that's really to better yourself, to improve your confidence, so that you can walk in peace. But also, in the same adage, you're walking in peace while preparing for war, which I think was a Moni Isaac comment, one of the maybe a couple things I agree with him on. But you need to prepare for the unthinkable. And I tell my students this, as a teenager, we're doing well in high school, preparing ourselves for life. We go to college, we prepare ourselves for the good things in life. We finally get married, raise a family. We're saving to buy that house, to buy that car, to plan those family trips. We're always planning for the good things in life, but we never think about, what are we going to do if somebody attacks us, somebody attacks my children, somebody attacks my wife, someone breaks into my house. And so we need to start thinking, especially in these days, with these economic times the way they are, about, having a plan of attack or defense, if you will. If I get carjacked, and my kid is in the backseat of the car, I know I have to fight to save my child. What are you going to do? And in that moment, it's too late unless you have a game plan. So I encourage everybody out there to, get off the couch and go train, learn a skill, learn how to protect yourself. Because when that moment happens, you want to be prepared. And statistically, right now, the 1 in 6 women have a chance of being a victim of a sexual assault in America. 1 in 6. And I have 2 daughters, so that's a very scary odd. So we need to prepare, plan.
No, that's great. It's great. Well, thank you for talking to us today.
Anytime. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to seeing the other coaches you have on and the other fighters, and learning more from other great athletes and coaches.
Oh, great. All right, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, thanks, Levi. You take care.